Picture this. You're at a party watching two different men interact with the same group of women. The first guy is everything society tells you women want. Six-figure income, perfect physique, designer clothes, expensive watch. He's charming, funny, and clearly trying his best to impress everyone around him. The second guy? Average job, basic clothes. Nothing particularly impressive about his appearance. But here's what's shocking. Every woman in that room is magnetically drawn to him. They're laughing at his jokes, finding excuses to touch his arm, and competing for his attention. Meanwhile, the successful guy is practically invisible. What if I told you that everything you've been taught about what makes women attracted to men is not just wrong, but completely backwards? What if I told you that the very things you think make you irresistible are actually repelling women? And what if I told you that the secret to making women genuinely hooked on you has nothing to do with your achievements and everything to do with something far more fundamental? Today, I'm going to reveal the brutal truth about female psychology that society doesn't want you to understand. I'm going to show you exactly how women get addicted to certain men while remaining completely indifferent to others who seem objectively better on paper. This isn't going to be comfortable to hear, especially if you've been following conventional dating advice. But if you want to understand the real psychology behind female attraction, you need to know these truths. Pay attention, because what you're about to learn could transform how women respond to you forever. Here's the truth. Society has sold you a complete lie about how female attraction works. They've convinced you that women operate like logical computers, calculating your value based on a checklist of achievements. This is the blueprint they've programmed into you. Get in shape, make money, develop impressive skills, buy nice things, demonstrate your success, and women will automatically find you attractive. They've told you that attraction is about proving your worth through external accomplishments. The men who believe this spend years building themselves up externally, while remaining completely mystified by why women still aren't interested. They become frustrated and confused because they're following a roadmap that leads nowhere. But here's the brutal truth. Women don't get hooked on your achievements. They get hooked on your energy. Think about it logically. If attraction was really about external success, then every wealthy, successful man would have women fighting over him. But you know that's not reality. You've seen rich men who can't attract anyone, and you've seen broke guys who have women obsessed with them. This is because female attraction operates on a completely different system than what society has taught you. Understanding this system is the difference between struggling with women your entire life and having them genuinely addicted to your presence. Let me introduce you to the concept that will revolutionize your understanding of women. Female addiction to men is triggered by what I call emotional scarcity perception. Here's what actually happens. When a woman encounters a man who doesn't need her validation, who isn't trying to impress her, and who clearly has options, her brain interprets this as scarcity. Her evolutionary programming kicks in, telling her that this is a high-value male who might not be available for long. This scarcity perception triggers a neurological response that's literally addictive. Her brain starts producing dopamine in response to his attention, creating a chemical dependency on his approval. The less available he seems, the more her brain craves his validation. This is why women become obsessed with men who seem indifferent to them while losing interest in men who are clearly desperate for their attention. It's not conscious. It's biological programming that's been hardwired into female psychology for thousands of years. The men who understand this truth stop chasing women and start creating the conditions that make women chase them. Here's where most men destroy their chances without even realizing it. The moment you start seeking a woman's approval, you've entered what I call the validation death spiral. When you need her to like you, when you're analyzing her responses, when you're trying to say the right things to impress her, you're communicating something devastating. You're telling her that you don't believe you're valuable enough to be wanted just as you are. And if you don't believe in your own worth, why should she? This creates a psychological paradox that kills attraction instantly. The harder you try to prove your value, the more you demonstrate that you lack genuine confidence. You become like a salesman who's too eager to close the deal, which immediately makes the customer suspicious. Women can sense this neediness at a subconscious level. Their evolutionary programming has equipped them to detect men who are seeking validation, because historically, these men were less likely to be successful protectors and providers. The brutal reality is that seeking validation is the fastest way to become invisible to women. When you need her approval to feel good about yourself, you've given her all the power in the interaction. And power imbalances kill attraction. Women get hooked on men who embody genuine scarcity. But here's what most men don't understand about scarcity. It's not about playing games or pretending to be unavailable. It's about actually being a man who has options and doesn't need any particular woman to complete him. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine two men asking a woman on a date. The first man says, "I'd really love to take you to dinner. When are you free?" His entire energy is focused on accommodating her schedule and getting her approval. The second man says, "I'm going to that new restaurant on Friday at 8. You should join me." Same invitation, completely different energy. The first man is seeking permission. The second man is offering an opportunity. Guess which one she finds more attractive? The second man demonstrates several qualities that trigger female addiction. He has his own plans and priorities. He's not rearranging his life around her convenience. He's confident enough to risk rejection. And he's positioning himself as someone worth pursuing rather than someone doing the pursuing. This is why women often become obsessed with men who seem slightly out of reach, while losing interest in men who are too available. Here's something that will shock you. Women are biologically programmed to be attracted to masculine authority. This isn't about domination or control. It's about the natural confidence that comes from a man who knows his own worth and doesn't need others to validate it. Throughout evolutionary history, women who were attracted to men with genuine authority were more likely to survive and raise successful offspring. This programming still exists in modern women, even if society tells them to ignore it. But here's the problem. Modern society has systematically eliminated opportunities for men to develop genuine authority. They've replaced it with external achievements that don't actually build internal confidence. Real authority comes from self-mastery. It's the energy of a man who has control over his emotions, his reactions, and his choices. When a woman encounters this kind of centered masculinity, it triggers deep biological attraction that she can't consciously control. This is why women often find themselves attracted to men who challenge them, set boundaries, and don't bend over backwards to accommodate their every wish. It's not because they want to be treated badly, it's because they're biologically wired to find genuine strength attractive. Women get addicted to men who create emotional variety in their lives. This is because female psychology is designed to respond to emotional stimulation and unpredictability. Think about it from an evolutionary perspective. Women needed to be able to read emotional nuances and respond to changing circumstances to successfully raise children and navigate social hierarchies. This has created a psychological makeup that craves emotional engagement and variety. The men who create female addiction understand this principle. They're not consistently the same person every day. They have moods, preferences, and boundaries that create natural variation in their interactions. This doesn't mean being moody or unpredictable in a negative way. It means being authentic enough to have genuine emotional responses, rather than trying to be perfectly pleasant all the time. Women find this emotional authenticity addictive because it keeps them engaged and guessing. They never quite know what to expect, which maintains the psychological tension that keeps attraction alive. Here's where it gets really counterintuitive. The more independent you are from needing a woman's approval, the more attractive you become to women. This creates what I call the independence paradox. Most men think they need to demonstrate how much they like a woman to attract her, but the opposite is true. Women are most attracted to men who clearly don't need them but choose to spend time with them anyway. This principle explains why women often lose interest in men who become too available or accommodating. When you drop everything to be with her, when you have no other priorities or interests, you're communicating that your life revolves around her approval. But when you maintain your own goals, friendships, and interests regardless of her presence in your life, you demonstrate the kind of self-sufficiency that women find irresistible. The men who create female addiction have rich, fulfilling lives that exist independently of any romantic relationship. They enjoy female company, but they don't need it to feel complete. Society has taught men to build confidence through external achievements. Get the better job, the nicer car, the bigger muscles, and you'll automatically become more confident. But this creates what I call the confidence trap. External achievements create conditional confidence that disappears the moment those achievements are threatened. This is why successful men often struggle with deep insecurity despite their accomplishments. Real confidence, the kind that creates female addiction, comes from genuine self-acceptance. It's the energy of a man who knows his worth regardless of external circumstances. This authentic confidence is rare in modern society because most people are constantly seeking validation from others. When a woman encounters a man who genuinely doesn't need her approval to feel good about himself, it's magnetic. This brings us to the most important principle of all. Women get hooked on men who can be fully present in the moment. This sounds simple, but it's actually incredibly rare and powerful. Most men are either living in the past, thinking about their failures and regrets, or living in the future, worried about outcomes and planning their next move. They're never truly present with the woman they're talking to because their minds are racing with strategies and anxieties. But when you can be completely present, genuinely engaged in the conversation, comfortable with silence, and focused on the current moment, you create a magnetic field that draws women in. This presence communicates several attractive qualities. You're not anxious about the future or haunted by the past. You're comfortable with yourself and your current circumstances, and you're confident enough to be vulnerable in the moment. Now that you understand the psychology behind female addiction, how do you implement these concepts in your own life? First, audit your motivations. Look at everything you're currently pursuing and ask yourself honestly, am I doing this for me or for others' approval? If you're working out to impress women, making money to gain status, or developing skills to prove your worth, you're in the validation trap. Second, develop internal validation. Start deriving your self-worth from internal sources rather than external achievements. Practice self-acceptance, self-compassion, and self-respect. Learn to validate yourself so you don't need others to do it for you. Third, cultivate genuine independence. Build a life that you're genuinely excited about with or without romantic success. Develop interests, goals, and relationships that exist independently of any woman's approval. Fourth, practice presence. Put away your phone, stop planning your next move, and just be with whoever you're talking to. This simple shift will dramatically improve the quality of your connections. Most importantly, focus on becoming the kind of man you would respect and admire. When you do this work authentically, female attraction becomes a natural byproduct rather than a desperate goal. The ultimate secret to creating female addiction is this: become so comfortable with yourself that you don't need anyone else to complete you. When you're truly self-sufficient emotionally, when you're genuinely at peace with who you are, when you're living authentically according to your own values, you become magnetic. This isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about fundamental transformation from the inside out. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally attracts quality women because he embodies the qualities that trigger genuine desire. The men who understand this truth stop chasing external validation and start developing internal strength. They become outcome independent, self-validated, and genuinely confident. These are the men that women get addicted to. The choice is yours. You can continue following society's blueprint, accumulating external achievements while remaining mystified by why women aren't interested. Or you can understand the real psychology behind female attraction and develop the qualities that create genuine addiction. The men who choose wisely will transform not just their romantic lives, but their entire existence. They'll become the kind of men who don't just attract women, but attract respect, opportunity, and success in every area of life. Your journey to becoming magnetically attractive starts with understanding one simple truth. Women don't get hooked on what you have. They get hooked on who you are when nobody's watching. Choose wisely.